So just to give you a tease, the story I'm going to tell is the biggest health scare of my entire life.
Really?
Yeah.
That's not good.
Worse worse than when I got sick after Star Wars Celebration.
Really?
Mhm.
Huh. Well, I'm ready to hear this
But
story.
it's okay, I can joke about it now.
Okay. All
All
right,
right.
let me go
Live
to.
talking.
You put it on
Oh,
Facebook,
side
right?
note, I'm putting it on Facebook now.
Okay.
I did watch a little bit of the Gun.Smoke gameplay. That looks like a
Dude, it's
lot of
fun.
fun.
It's real. It holds up so well. Boop, 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 boop.
There we
Come
go.
on. Oh my God. Why are you so slow, Facebook? Jesus. Good Lord. Oh my God. Come on, Facebook. Jeez. I'm Facebook and I'm slow. All right. I'm going to share to my page. All right.
Or are you going to have the chat up?
Yeah. I mean, I'll be jumping back and forth between
Oh, okay.
the chat and the notes.
So what before we get started, what would you like to do about next week's show? Cuz the next
Um.
homestand starts on Tuesday.
Well, I was thinking I'd talk to Wally and I'll see if he wants to record maybe Sunday if you're free.
Oh, you want to do the wrestling debate?
Yes.
Let's do it.
I think that'd be a good topic for the show.
Well, because I think it's something that it's actually not debated very often
Yeah.
on
Actually,
which is
I'll see
better
if
because both are held in such high regard.
what time would you want to do it? I say sometime in the
Um,
afternoon. I'll see what time Wally gets off work. I'll see if Joey Image wants to do it too.
but if he's on, I'll be scared. No, I honestly I have zero plans this weekend, so I'm open for anything.
Okay.
So whatever time works for everybody else, I can make it work.
Because I'm pretty much free all day. So if you're free all day, I'll talk with them and see what time is good with them,
Okay,
and we can go ahead and just record it and release it. I'll release it early on Tuesday night.
sweet.
All right.
That could be a really good show.
Oh, I can't wait. I've been actually when you mentioned it, I started having like the debate in my head of why I think the '80s is better than the Attitude Era, and I have my arguments ready to go.
I'll have to do more fact searching.
I haven't done too much fact searching. I've just been doing what I experienced at the time.
Yeah, same with me. I feel like a lot of it's going to be similar to our Mario debate. I think a lot of it's going to have to do with the sentimental value
I
because
think
you
that's a
grew up
lot to do
watching the
with it,
'80s
yeah.
stuff. I grew up watching the '90s stuff.
Because we experienced it both at the same age, but at different times. So
Yeah,
that's going to be the debate.
yeah.
I'm sure Wally's probably going to be more on your side because I don't think he watched as much of the '80s stuff because he's still a few years younger than me. But
I think Joey will be on your side.
yeah, he's going to be on my side because me and him are literally only about a week apart, our birthdays, and we're almost the exact same age.
Wow.
Oh yeah,
It'll be good to have that discussion with an actual wrestler on.
yeah. That's why I wanted to have him on. So I'll get in touch with him. I'll get in touch with both of them this week, and
Yeah,
we'll try for us. We'll get it sometime on Sunday, and like I said, I'll release it early. I'll release it on Tuesday because I think that's going to be a fun show.
for sure.
But I'm pretty much ready to go. I've got all the. Let me close this out. Let me close out all these tabs I don't need that are just eating up memory. Good God, OBS, why do you use so much CPU? And I'm only doing 30 frames a second. God, it's almost at 25% of my CPU is being used by OBS right now.
Jesus.
Is there any way to lower that? I have to get with somebody that actually knows OBS better than me. Maybe I need to fix my settings. But yeah, I'm good to go if you are.
Yep.
All right, here we go. 3, 2, 1. Do you like the show and you want to help support us? Do you want us to stay ad-free? Do you want extra episodes every month? Of course you do. Then head over to patreon.com/nerdcaveretro and become a Patreon supporter of this very show. Greetings, programs. My name is Jason Robbins.
And my name is Derek Diamond.
And we are back for another spectacular episode of the Nerd Cave Retro Show. So Derek was telling me a little bit about something interesting that's happened to him this week, and I have no idea what it is, but I'm ready to hear your story. So lay it on me.
So it actually started after last week's show.
Okay.
So we finished recording, made a nice dinner, had something light, had some nice grilled chicken with some sauteed spinach, really good stuff. I went to bed soon after that. I think I went to bed around 10 or so. Well, I woke up 2 hours later and couldn't go back to sleep. I was just really anxious. My heartbeat was really high.
Mm-hmm.
I had no idea what was going on.
Panic attack?
Probably with other things that I have since resolved. But anyway, it kind of calmed down a little bit. And then I started, feeling worse as the day went on. It got so bad that I actually left work and came back home and went to sleep. So then I kept waking up, throughout the night. So now we're to Thursday. I tried going back to work and ended up getting sent home around 1 because I was starting to develop a fever. So I thought, well, if I can just get a good night's rest, I think that will help. Well, I thought that it did, because then we fast forward to Friday. I woke up and I was just drenched in sweat. And I thought, okay, well, at least my fevers were I woke up and I felt great. And then 5 minutes later, threw up all over my bedroom floor.
Were you having a heart attack?
No, I did not have a heart attack. So Friday, I went to the doctor, and it turns out that I was severely dehydrated.
Oh, okay.
To the point where my kidneys were starting to shut down.
Oh my God. Dude.
So
what, were you just not drinking any water, or what were you doing?
Not drinking enough water, I guess.
Wow. That makes me thirsty. Hold on a second.
That's why I've got a 1 liter bottle of water with me. I drink about 3 of these a day.
Yeah, I drink a lot of water too.
So anyway, they pump 2 liters of water, into me through an IV. They give me some medicine for pain and nausea. And I still am having stomach cramps at this point. But I go home around 9:30 at night and, told my boss what had happened. And he told me to stay home throughout the weekend. So I did nothing but sleep and drink water.
Nice.
And today was the first full meal that I've had in pretty much a week. I've been snacking on stuff,
yeah,
but not eating. I didn't know if I could stomach a full meal.
Wow.
And once I had it, I felt a lot better. I feel perfectly fine now.
Wow.
Hear that, kids? It was
stay hydrated.
Yeah, that is the lesson for today. No, it was a really scary experience.
Yeah, I bet so.
Yeah.
Lord, dude, take care of yourself, man.
I know.
Well, I'm glad you're feeling better, man, dude. Don't worry me like that. I can't do this show by myself. Are you crazy?
Sure you can.
No, I can't. I have to get Wally
I've done
here. Nobody wants Wally.
I've done it by myself. You can do it by yourself.
No, everybody loves Wally. He'd be a great co-host, but damn it, you're the heart and soul of the show.
No, not at all. I'm the cynical douchebag of the show.
No, you are not, sir. But I'm glad you're feeling
But yeah,
better, man, dude. That after my kidney stones last year, my urologist said that I have to be drinking at least 3 quarts of water, um, or was it at least 3 quarts to a gallon of water a day or something like that. I don't remember the exact number. It was a lot, so I drink a
yeah,
lot of water now.
yeah. I've been, like I said, I've got a giant 1 liter bottle of water. I have about 3 of those a day, and up until today, I've just been kind of snacking on stuff. I didn't have any solid food between, I think, Wednesday and Saturday.
Wow.
Saturday, I started to eat a little bit, but I think tomorrow I'm going to go, try and go full out with it.
Yeah.
Like, still be smart about what I eat. I mean, I'm not going to go out and eat like a, buffalo chicken burrito or something like that, because
Eat
that
some
would just
soup.
be stupid, and I would
Get
end
some
up
soup.
right back in the ER.
And get some soup and a salad, maybe a breadstick, and you'll be all right.
No, bread is actually good. Now, I had a nice grilled chicken salad with some crackers today,
Awesome.
which was actually really good. So I don't know what I'm going to have after the podcast, but
Yeah.
I'm glad that all of that finally seems to be behind me. But no,
That's
that
good.
I've been dealing with that since pretty much last week's
Oof.
show.
Well, my foot's still screwed up from the week before, and I've been hobbling around with a cane, and so I've done a lot of sitting around playing video games. I've been playing Spider-Man for PS4. Of course, I played Gun.Smoke for the review tonight, and did a lot of game cleaning because I've acquired a lot of games over the last few weeks that I just haven't had time to clean. So I did that for one full afternoon, just sat and cleaned all my NES games that I've gotten, and that was fun. And I went to a concert Saturday night that
I saw that.
I fell in love with this band from Fort Walton, near your neck of the woods, and they're called the Helvetica Effect. And they have a new EP about to drop. They actually have their first album you can listen to right now on Spotify, wherever you listen to music. Just look up the Helvetica Effect. And they have this new song there that they just dropped off their upcoming EP. It's called Gods and Monsters. You can go to their Bandcamp site to get it. You can listen to it pretty much wherever, like Spotify, Amazon Music. They're great. Dude, Gods and Monsters is like one of the best rock songs I've heard in over a decade. Like yesterday, I literally listened to it about 20 times. I'm not kidding. It's so good.
The question I have, though, is do they use the Helvetica font in their logo?
I'm pretty sure they do. I'm going to have to make sure.
Good. I would hope so. No, I'll have to check it out.
Yeah, go check them out. Anybody listening to this, go check out the Helvetica Effect pretty much wherever you can listen to music at, and they're really good. I highly recommend it.
I will say, as one more side note for me, some positive news. The color correction for the Parker syndrome is almost done.
Fantastic.
I've seen the first scene of it, and it looks great.
That's awesome. I can't wait.
Almost.
Oh boy.
Almost done.
But I'm ready to jump into the news. How about you?
Let's do it.
So we have a little bit more E3 news because a lot more stuff dropped after our show last week. But this was on NintendoLife.com. Konami just revealed the PC Engine / TurboGrafx 16 Mini. You can look at the trailer for it on either YouTube or you can look at it in the actual article here. Konami actually holds the rights to the PC Engine / TurboGrafx 16 brand via its ownership of the now defunct Hudson Soft, which we've actually reviewed some Hudson Soft games right here on this show. And it has lifted the lid on yet another retro-themed micro console. The system, which took Japan by storm in the late 80s and came to the US, which was slightly less successful in the form of the TurboGrafx 16. The console will come in 3 designs. The Japanese market will get the original white PC Engine. Europe will get the Core Graphics revision. And then the US, we will get the TurboGrafx 16 design, which was larger to appeal to American sensibilities. The games confirmed so far for the American version is R-Type, New Adventure Island, Ninja Spirit, Ease Book 1 and 2, Dungeon Explorer, and Alien Crush. Now, I might be a little more interested in this if they come out with a couple more of the good shooters, because that's what the TurboGrafx 16 was really known for, its shooters back in the day. And I never had one, but I used to go to the Toys R Us and play the display model all the time. And I would love to see like Splatterhouse, of course, Bonk's Adventure, which was sort of like their mascot for the TurboGrafx 16, and a lot more of the shooters like R-Type. And if they do that, I might be interested in picking one of these up. Oh, yeah, and Castlevania Rondo of Blood's going to be on it, too.
It's funny because I had never really heard of the TurboGrafx 16 until the Wii Virtual Console, because that had several TurboGrafx games.
Yeah.
I never played any of them, but that was my first introduction to it.
It was always one of those machines that, like I said, I would go to Toys R Us and play it, and I would read a lot about it in the gaming magazines at the time, and I really wanted one, but there wasn't really that like good killer, like, you know, killer app or killer game that was a system seller that really made me want to get one. Like Bonk's Adventure was kind of fun to play in the store, and of course R-Type. You know, Splatterhouse was one of those games that was like, ooh, you know, it was kind of one of those games that like the parents didn't want you to get because it was bloody and gory, and like, of course, that's what you wanted to play on it. But there wasn't really anything that made me go, I have to have that. But now that I have, you know, I'm 42, I have disposable income, I'd be interested in picking one of these up to play it, finally, after 30 years.
I think with me, it'll depend on the pricing.
Yeah. I'm thinking probably $70 is going to be a good price point for this thing. I think if you go anything over 70, you're just going to lose the audience, because there's not a big enough audience for the TurboGrafx 16, I don't think.
Yeah. No, I don't disagree with that. But our next story comes to us from IGN. Arcade 1UP announces new Star Wars, Capcom, and Namco arcade cabinets. Please take my money. Arcade 1UP announced a new group of smaller-scale arcade cabinets joining its lineup, including a Star Wars cabinet with the original arcade versions of Star Wars, Empire Strikes Back, and Return of the Jedi. In addition to Star Wars, they also revealed 2 new cocktail cabinets, a Capcom head-to-head table, with 12 Capcom arcade classics, including Street Fighter II, Final Fight, and Dark Stalkers, as well as a Namco head-to-head cocktail table with 8 games. The Namco games revealed for the cocktail cabinet so far are Pac-Man, Galaga, and Dig Dug. Both tables are coming later this year for $500.
So we were just talking about this Star Wars arcade machine a couple of weeks ago, and how much I would actually want to own one of these. And then they dropped this a couple of weeks later. I'm like, who is listening to me? Are there cameras in here? Like, just take my money, please. I really have to weigh the fact that, do I really need this? Because I really want it. I don't care that it's going to be like $500. I want the Star Wars arcade machine.
Did you see what it looks like?
Yes, I do. It looks great.
Sweet.
Oh my God. It's so cool.
Yeah. I want that, and then I want the Ninja Turtles one.
Yes. Oh my God.
Where I'm going to put them, I have no idea, but I will find a space for them.
I really want the Ninja Turtles arcade machine, but good God, look at that Star Wars machine. It's even got the yoke controller on it. Oh man. Man. They're just trying to put me in the poorhouse is what they're doing.
They're going to do that to a lot of people.
Yes, they are. But for our last story tonight, Xbox boss talks a possibility of Xbox Game Pass on Nintendo Switch. Earlier this year, reports and rumors flooded the internet. Oh, by the way, this is on comicbook.com. Earlier this year, reports and rumors flooded the internet that Microsoft and Nintendo were in talks to bring Xbox Game Pass to Nintendo Switch. And while these talks may have happened and may still be happening, there's been nothing said by Microsoft or Nintendo about such collaboration. That said, Xbox boss Phil Spencer is open to the possibility. In fact, he even leaves the door open for it to happen, but it doesn't seem like it would actually happen anytime soon. he says, noted that right now the team is focused on getting its streaming tech up and running on Android. Further, that bringing Xbox Game Pass to Nintendo Switch is no easy task. Still, the goal with Xbox Game Pass is to bring it to as many places as possible, so who knows what will happen in the future. He said over time he'd like to take the Game Pass everywhere. He saw somebody joke that they'd put Game Pass on the toaster, or he'd put the Game Pass on the toaster if he could. He said, I don't know about that. We're focused on the streaming side, at least on Android, because in some ways it's hardest for us because it's so diverse in terms of the number of devices. Of course, he goes on to talk about how much he loves Nintendo, but it's just not, they're not anywhere near any kind of announcement for anything. But I think this is a good sign that I really do think Microsoft and Nintendo are working out a lot of stuff in private, which I think is going to come out in the next couple of years. I mean, it may not be anytime soon, but I do think Microsoft and Nintendo are getting pretty buddy-buddy about stuff.
Oh, for sure. And I think, one of the biggest examples is what we talked about last week with Banjo-Kazooie being included in the new Smash Brothers.
Mm-hmm.
I think it will do nothing but be a good thing for the gaming industry if that happens.
And I think, they know that Nintendo has the fan base. They have the Nintendo Switch is just really popular, and Nintendo isn't very good at the online presence, and Microsoft is. So I think there could be a lot of good crossover there. Like they could benefit from one another, and if they could make Nintendo their online experience a little more streamlined, make it easier to play with other people, have your friends play with you and stuff like that, I think it's a good thing. I mean, it kind of leaves Sony, kind of like the kid off in the corner that doesn't get to play with everybody, but Sony is kind of the top dog this generation, and Microsoft, I think they know that it could only behoove them to get in bed with Nintendo, and take over the next generation of consoles.
No, I think you're absolutely right. It's funny how to see the cyclical development of things, because I always felt like the Xbox 360 did better than the PlayStation 3.
It did.
But I know PlayStation 4 has crushed the Xbox One. Well, so I think it's natural for Microsoft to obviously want to get better, and to me, what better way than to team up with Nintendo, and they can do nothing but help each other.
Yeah, and I think Microsoft really got humbled when they announced the Xbox One, and their attitude at that E3. And then Sony just pretty much came out swinging after everybody was just kind of like, we don't want what you're giving us now, Microsoft. Like, you're trying to force all this stuff on us. And Microsoft really got humbled this generation. And I think they got a little too big for their britches because they were in the Sony spot last generation. Yeah. And I think Sony is now kind of in their spot where they're the top dogs and they're not wanting to play with anybody. And I think it's going to come back to bite them in the ass this next go around.
Yeah, I agree with everything you just said.
So, on that note, let's go ahead and we'll move into this month in video game history. In June of 1978, Taito releases Space Invaders in Japan. The worldwide success of Space Invaders marks the beginning of the golden age of arcade video games. It sets the template for the fixed shooter genre and influences most subsequent shooters.
I mean, easily one of the most iconic video games of that era and of all time.
Oh, absolutely.
You still see Space Invaders in arcades today.
Yeah. I mean,
I've noticed something that I see now are the really giant displays of Space Invaders.
Yeah.
Like, it's a huge machine that you play Space Invaders on.
I mean, you see
and it looks everywhere. Really cool. I've never actually tried it, but go ahead.
Even on my Twitter account, like right next to my name is a little, Space Invader ship. Like, you see Space Invaders everywhere now. It's still such a pop culture it's still relevant pop culturally, It's just it basically was the pack-in. It was the game that put the Atari 2600 on the map because people wanted to play Space Invaders at home, and it came out on the Atari, and Atari that's basically Space Invaders could pretty much be credited with causing the home video game explosion, late 70s, early 80s.
For sure. But segueing into something else that's still iconic in pop culture. On June 14th of 1983, Nintendo releases Mario Brothers, which features the first appearance of Mario's brother, Luigi.
Yes, man. June of 1983 had a lot of stuff, man.
Yes, it did. Now, I will keep it as of note, this isn't Super Mario Brothers.
Yeah, this
is
Mario
the
Brothers.
Mario Brothers arcade game.
I was never a big fan of the regular Mario Brothers arcade game.
I wasn't either. I remember playing it when I was a kid for the first time, and it was like, this isn't quite Mario.
Yeah, it's like the building blocks of Super Mario Brothers are there, but not quite.
Yeah.
Also on June 19th of 1983, Cinematronics releases Advanced Microcomputer Systems Dragon's Lair, the third Laserdisc video game and the first in the American market. Dragon's Lair, the quarter muncher of the arcade at the time.
The poster looks like a Disney movie.
Yeah, it was. Well, actually, the animation was done by Don Bluth, who was, did a lot of Disney's animation.
Nice.
Yep.
That's really cool.
That game cost $1 to play at the time. You're talking about, this is 80s money. $1 is like, equivalent to like $10 in today's money.
Yeah. Why $1?
It was an expensive game to play, man. I mean, it might have even been at the time maybe 50 cents, but I know by the time like I started going to arcades like in the late 80s, it was like $1 to play Dragon's Lair.
Jesus.
It was a lot.
Also in June of 1983, Data East releases Bega's Battle, a Laserdisc video game. It uses anime FMV cutscenes to develop a story between the game's shooting stages, which would later become the standard approach to video game storytelling.
I never played Bega's Battle.
I haven't either. The poster looks a little familiar.
We may have talked about this last year.
Yeah. But the name's not ringing a bell.
No. I mean, some of this stuff I remember vaguely because I know we talk about. Well, I know we recycle this stuff every year, and we've been talking about it for 3 or 4 years now. So you would think it would start sticking in there a little bit.
You would think.
Also in June of 1983, Yuji Horii releases the Portopia. The Portopia serial murder case for the NEC PC 6001 in Japan. It is an influential adventure game that lays the foundations for the visual novel genre. God, I could not spit that word out.
Words are hard.
Portopia. I keep wanting to say Portopia.
No, I mean, it sounds like an interesting game because it's got the old murder case and everything that would have, drawn me in whenever I was younger.
Yeah. Never played it.
Interesting. Though. Let's see. On June 16th, 1983, Microsoft Japan releases MSX, an early standardized home computer architecture.
Microsoft Japan,
Let's see what this MSX is.
Let's see what this beauty looks like.
I love the arrow keys.
Wow, that actually looks kind of cool.
Yeah. I don't hate this.
I don't either.
It definitely looks 80s, but
it's got a nice little aesthetic to it.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah. I dig it.
And also in June of 1983, and this is the last one for 1983, Mattel Electronics releases the Aquarius home computer, originally designed by Ratofin Electronics Far East. I have never heard of this thing.
But was it released in the age of Aquarius?
No, it was not. And this is not as aesthetically pleasing as the MSX or whatever it was called.
No.
Not
See,
pleasing at
the
all.
MSX looked 80s in a good way.
Yeah, it
This
did.
is 80s in a bad way. Oh, man. But to close us out on this month in video game history, on June 23rd, 1991, Sega releases Sonic the Hedgehog for the Sega Genesis, which later becomes the pack-in game and defining title for the console. It introduces the eponymous character, which will go on to be Sega's mascot. I'm pretty sure I said that name wrong. Sega also releases or releases a version of the game for the Master System and Game Gear. I know we've talked about Sonic quite a bit with the whole movie debacle, but going back and playing the old Sonic game, it's definitely to me the weakest of all the 2D games, but it's also the foundation. Like, it's the building block. Like, you wouldn't have had great games like Sonic 2 and Sonic 3 and Knuckles had you not had Sonic the Hedgehog 1.
That's what I'm really excited for the most with the Genesis Mini, is playing Sonic the Hedgehog 2 and 3, because I never got to play those. I've played Sonic the Hedgehog a bunch, but I never got to play 2 and 3, and I'm really excited about getting to play those games.
2 and 3 are great. I think you'll really like them.
I wish it would hurry up and get here, because I'm so excited to get my hands on that Genesis Mini.
Same.
But on that note, let's go ahead and actually, before we go into the review, I want to tell everybody one more time, thank you for sharing us. Like, our numbers have gone up a lot in the last couple of weeks, so everybody sharing it, thank you so much. If you can, head over to patreon.com/nerdcaveretro. Throw us $1 a month if you can, or $2 or $3, whatever you feel like, for all this content. I mean, where else can you get 4 hours of content a month for $1? That's cheaper than a cup of coffee. And if we get back to that $50 level, we will do the extra episode every month, which will include either a commentary track or a roundtable discussion or something to do with an old movie or something video game related. Like we do the commentary tracks for Captain N, stuff like that. We love doing that stuff. We'll do it every month if you get us back to that $50 level. So that's all you got to do. Go throw us $1 a month. If enough of you do that, we'll get back to the $50 level, and share the show everywhere. Tell your friends, especially if they like video games.
Absolutely.
So let's go ahead and do the review tonight, shall we?
Let's do it.
Gun.Smoke, or you could just call it Gun.Smoke, is a 1985 vertical scrolling shooter arcade game by Capcom. This Wild West themed game was designed by Yoshiki Okamoto. It centers on a character named Billy Bob on the NES version, a bounty hunter who is after vicious criminals of the Wild West. Red Dead Revolver, the first installment of the Red Dead series, is a spiritual successor to Gun.Smoke, and I did not know that at all until reading
That's pretty
this.
cool.
I know, that's pretty sweet. It says in the gameplay here that it is very similar to 1942 and Commando, which were both developed by Capcom. But this game is so much better than some of the other scrolling shooters that I've played in the past. Like, I've played Ikari Warriors, Commando, other games. Let's see, what did I do? Jackal was sort of the same way, that scrolling kind of top-down scrolling shooter. Gun.Smoke is easily the best one I've played, and I have a lot to talk about this game before kind of really going into the review. I mean, to start off, everybody always asks why there was the dot in between Gun and Smoke. So you kids today, I don't know if you remember a show called Gun.Smoke, but at the time, when was this released? This was released on November of 1985. So when this game was released, Gunsmoke had only been off the air for 10 years, and it was at the time, it was the longest running television show of all time. I mean, it ran for 20 years. And even like up until the late 80s when I got this on Nintendo and played it, like Gunsmoke was still like a still pop culturally relevant because you had your local stations, and then you had cable, which had stations like TBS and TNT, which didn't have their own original programming. So they would, this was the age of like heavy syndication. Like any afternoon, you would turn on your local stations or TBS or TNT, and you'd see like Gilligan's Island and like the Addams Family. Of course, episodes of Gun.Smoke and like the Rifleman, and Gun.Smoke's like my dad's favorite TV show of all time. I mean, I guarantee you he has like an entire VHS collection of like Gun.Smoke collections. And it was a pretty big kind of thing when I was a kid. Like I grew up watching Gun.Smoke with my dad. And, I remember the weekend marathons that they would have on TBS, like the Memorial Day Gun.Smoke Marathon. Like, do you remember that kind of stuff at all, Derek? Did you ever experience, like, was Gun.Smoke kind of a thing when you were a kid?
I remember hearing about it. I've never watched it, but I think that was Gunsmoke was starting to fade away a bit.
Yeah.
As I became more relevant to things in pop culture. But I definitely know about Gunsmoke and how long the show ran and everything.
Yeah. And that's kind of why they put the dot in there, because it is not associated with the show Gunsmoke at all. So I guess to kind of clear up any confusion at the time that this would be associated with the TV show or anything. But
right.
I didn't actually play this game. I didn't actually get this game until I was actually, I remember it. It was the weekend after sixth grade was over with, and I think that was like 89 or 90. And my friend Zach, who I've been friends with since like the first grade, we were graduating elementary school. We were about to go to junior high for seventh grade, but we were getting out of sixth grade, and he came over for the weekend. It was one of those weekends where like he got to stay like the whole weekend and not just like one night. So it was awesome. Like my friend was coming over for like the entire weekend. And that whole weekend was filled with junk food and playing Gunsmoke on NES. And like I have so many good memories of that weekend. Like I remember we were playing outside at one point. Like we took a break from playing Gunsmoke to actually go outside. And this dog showed up in the neighborhood, and I think he ended up actually taking this dog home with him. Like he talked his mom into taking this dog home. Like that's a weird little memory associated with this. But that was my biggest memory of playing this game, was like me, him, and my brother played Gunsmoke the whole weekend. And I think we beat the game like several times over, just playing it over and over again. So that's kind of my biggest memory of playing this game. Like and I've been on the hunt for this game for a long time. And it's notoriously kind of a hard game to just kind of come across in the wild. Oh, hey, Kitty, how you doing? He wants to come review it with me, too. But I've been looking for it for a long time, and I ran across it at the flea market this last weekend. What are you doing? Are you trying to be on the show? Like, what do you want to review the game with me? Okay. But yeah, I found it this weekend, and I bought it with a bundle, a couple other games. I got Section Z, and what else did I get? I don't remember what else I got. What did I get? I got Section Z, this, and something else for like $15, which was a really good deal, because you can't find Gunsmoke for less than like $25 on eBay. So I got a really good deal on this game. And one of the things I noticed, like it's been a long time since I've played this game, but I realized like how well this game holds up for the NES, because it was made so well. I mean, it was a Capcom game, so you couldn't go wrong with a Capcom game back then. And this was definitely one of the bright spots for the overhead shooter genre on the NES. Like this game, Like the kind of I love the way this game plays. Like you have power ups. You have like the way the game plays is it's constantly scrolling, like these shooters do. And you press the A button and you shoot to the right. You press the B button, you shoot to the left, and press both buttons at the same time, and you shoot straight. So you have a lot of like kind of you don't have to worry about like
You have a wide range.
yeah, you have a wide range of where you can actually shoot, and then you have different guns. You have like you can get the right, like you actually run across people in the game. Like you get points in the game. You kill people and collect money bags. You collect bullets. You get boots that make you walk faster. You can get which look like little umbrella symbols from Resident Evil that actually make you like invincible and things like that. It's really cool. Like I saw those and I was like, holy crap, that's a Resident Evil like Umbrella Corporation symbol. And so you get all this stuff and you come across these different like you're scrolling through the town, you'll come across different shopkeepers that will sell you things like a machine gun or a shotgun, magnum, grenades, things of that nature. And each gun kind of shoots different. Like the shotgun has a big spread. The machine gun has like rapid fire, and the magnum is like rapid fire, but it's really powerful. You actually sometimes you can come across you shoot barrels in the game, and sometimes you'll get a horse and you jump on the horse. Normally you can only take one hit when you're just walking, but if you get a horse, you can actually take several hits. So it's really good to get a horse, and you can actually buy a horse if you don't come across one. Like you run across a shopkeeper, they'll sell you a horse to use, and it's really awesome. Like the just the way they did this game, like with the power ups and how you go through the level, and it will go. The levels will be endless unless you find the wanted posters, which are hidden among the levels. Like you have to shoot certain spots. Like it'll be right next to a barrel in front of a building. It'll be invisible, but if you shoot where you think it is, like you have to actually listen to the differences in the bullet sounds as it hits like the invisible spot, like, and then the wanted poster will pop out. You get the wanted poster, and then the boss shows up of the level. So and you can also, if you have enough money, you could just bypass all that and buy the wanted poster from some of the shopkeepers, which is kind of cool. So any questions thus far for Gun.Smoke?
Well, the only comment I have, I actually did watch a good bit of gameplay from it before we started, and it looks like a lot of fun. It looks like a game you can just jump right into, figure out how to play it, and it looks like one that you can kill a lot of time playing.
Oh yeah, this game is so much fun. And the first boss of the first level is relatively easy. Like most of the bosses are kind of easy. I actually finished the game this time. I got like there's 6 levels to the game. I think I got like 4 or 5 in. But I found like the second boss to be the hardest one of all of them. I can't remember his name. It's something he's like Australian or something, and his thing is he comes out and he has what do you call the boomerangs, and there's kind of no rhyme or reason to where they go. Like they just kind of fly all over the place, and you can get killed pretty easily. So I found him to be the hardest boss. It says only 6 of the 10 bosses were in this version, so I guess there were 10 bosses in the actual arcade version. And this one were Master, Ninja, Cutter, Wolf, Chief, Los Pubro, and Fat Man. Billy was given extra weapons: a shotgun, a machine gun, a smart bomb, and a magnum. Bullets are used as ammo for extra weapons. Let's see. 4 bosses had their names changed. Master's name was changed to Bandit Bill, like that's the first one. Wolf Chief was named to Devil Hawk. Fat Man was changed to Fat Man Joe. And Los Pubro was changed to Wingate. So they did do a little bit of change from the actual arcade version to the NES version.
Yeah.
Let's see. The soundtrack for the arcade version was composed by Ayako Mori on August 25th, 86. Alpha Records actually released a limited edition soundtrack featuring all the music from the arcade version, as well as 2 unused tracks. Its catalog number was Capcom Game Music dash blah, 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 blah. I would actually like to get my hands on the soundtrack for this game.
Yeah, the music was actually really catchy.
Yeah, it is. And like I said, I had a lot of fun playing this game. It's very smooth. It's very easy to control. I mean, it does get a little bit hairy sometimes because there'll be a lot of enemies on screen, and sometimes in the later levels you'll have people coming up from the bottom of the screen, like behind you, and you can't shoot behind you, so you got to kind of work your way around the screen to kind of get in behind them. So that got a little bit frustrating. But other than that, this is almost like damn near like a perfect game to have in your collection for the Nintendo. Like, this is one of those games that needs to be up there with like Super Mario Brothers 3, like Zelda. Like, this is a game that has to be in your Nintendo collection.
That's pretty high company.
And like I said, it does tend to get a little bit repetitive, but then again, what Nintendo game doesn't?
Yeah.
You know? So, but going in knowing that it's just a top-down scrolling shooter, but it's done very, very well, and it's a lot of fun, and especially like getting the power-ups and things like that. Like, there's a lot to like about this game, and there's not much I can say about it bad. Like, I really can't think of anything bad to say about it.
That's awesome.
So
I'll have to try it out.
You have to. Like, this needs to drop on the Nintendo Switch online. Like, they have to put this out on the Switch online because it deserves to be there. This has got to be one of those games that everybody plays because it's just it's so Nintendo it hurts. if you get what I mean by that.
Yeah.
But out of a scale of 10, I give this game a solid 9.
Wow.
It's up there. Like, I have
awesome.
I have so many good memories of this game. All right, dude, you're chewing on my cord, so it's time for you to get down now. Come on, kitty. Come on, kitty. All right. But I give it a solid 9 because it's executed very well. It's very colorful. Like, there's a lot of different enemy types and different, enemies have different weapons, and they move differently. So each, there's a lot of enemy varieties in the game. It doesn't really get boring. I love the fact that you have to get, find the wanted posters to get the bosses to come out, and it's just, I love the fact that there are little shopkeepers in the game that sell you things, and just it's so done so well that I can't really say anything bad about it. And I highly recommend it if you have a Nintendo or some sort of device to play NES games and you're a collector. This has got to be in the collection.
That's awesome. No, it's good to hear, a game that, until you mentioned it, I had never heard of it. To hear it get that kind of praise is pretty awesome.
Yeah, and it's a Capcom game. It's done really well. I highly recommend it. So anybody out there, like, I'm so happy that I finally have a copy of this. I've been looking for it for so long, and just, as soon as I saw it, like, boom! I didn't care what he was asking for it. I wanted it, and
Yeah.
I found a couple other games. I was like, "How much for these?" And he said, $15. I was like, "Oh, sold." And gave him $15 and got my copy of Gun.Smoke.
Heck yeah.
Oh, and another thing to mention too is there are 2 different covers, which somebody pointed out to me that I didn't know this. There are actually two different cover arts for the game. And if you'll hold on for just 1 second.
Standing by. So what is one for... I assume one's for the arcade and one's for the NES version?
Yes, I have this copy right here, which is, if you can see, it's actually more of a cartoonish version of the cover.
Yeah.
And this is the one, I think they changed it because, and I was reading up on this, it had something to do with, in the background, it actually says bar on the building, and I think they had to change it because of some kind of weird rules concerning something to do, since video games were considered to be for kids, they couldn't have anything that said bar on it. So then they changed it to the other version, which I don't have a copy of to show, but you can actually look it up on Google, the two different cover arts for Gun.Smoke. But somebody was like, you might have something rare there, but I looked it up, and they're neither one are more rare than the other. They're kind of both out in the wild equally, so whichever one you come across, they're both pretty much worth the same. So it's just kind of cool. I mean, if you're a completionist, then you're probably going to want to try to find both covers of it. If you're a completionist, which I'm going to keep my eye out for the second cover. And this cat really wants to be on the show tonight. But I'm actually going to keep my eye out for the alternate cover, because I'd like to actually have just both copies of it just to have.
Yeah.
And it's a good enough game to own twice, so.
You could have gotten the cat to replace me.
Yeah, he could have. He is being so needy today. I don't know what his problem is. I think he's just jealous and wants to be on the show.
I think so.
But that's pretty much my review, unless you have anything else you want to ask or.
No, like I said, I watched from the gameplay I watched of it. I really liked it and would love to try it out at some point.
You should. I don't know if there's anywhere to get it. It says actually right here. No, there were no I'm trying to see if there were any kind of remakes or re-releases of it. I don't see anything anywhere for it.
No, the most recent is PlayStation 2 and Xbox.
Yeah, those were the most recent. So I think the only way you're going to be able to play this is either on emulator or finding a loose copy of it out in the wild, or you could just get it off eBay. You're going to pay, $20-25 for a copy of it, but it's worth it in my book.
Yeah.
But like I said, I actually hope that Nintendo puts this on the Nintendo Switch Online, and I think that would be a good home for it.
I agree.
But that's going to do it for that this week. Anything you want to tell the people before we leave here this evening?
Just be sure to check out past episodes of the Derek Diamond Experience podcast, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at DDiamond Podcast. Still on break for the summer, looking at coming back either end of August or sometime at the beginning of September. And then stay tuned, because the Parker Syndrome is very close to being done.
Fantastic.
I know I keep saying it over and over and over and over again, but it is very close to being finished.
And Survey is still doing a festival run. It actually got invited to the New York, what was it called? The New York Liftoff Film Festival.
Yes.
And you will actually be able to watch it online. So, and vote for it. So, keep an eye out we'll actually tweet it out whenever that time comes. So you'll actually be able to watch Survey online and vote for it in the Liftoff Film Festival. So we'll keep you posted about that. Just go to @SurveyFilm on Twitter, and just look up Survey Film on Facebook.
Yeah, I think Survey's very close to making 30 film festivals now.
It's been in a lot of festivals.
I told Steve he has to shoot for 50.
I'm like, God, man, I'm going to be 50 years old, and this thing's going to be in the festival circuit, man. We made that movie like 3 years ago.
I know. It doesn't feel like that, though.
It doesn't. Like, dude, I actually showed it to somebody the other day, and I was really surprised at how much weight I've lost since we filmed that. I'm 50 pounds lighter than when we filmed that movie, and I'm like, holy crap, that's like watching a different person when we were watching it. I was like, it doesn't even look like me anymore.
It's still fun to go back. I go back and watch it every now and then. It's so good.
It's a good
everything
movie.
From, the acting, of course.
I just think it looks great because,
Yeah, everything from the cinematography.
Oh,
AJ Caruso did a great job with the score.
Dude. I can't wait for
It's
people to
great.
watch it. So everybody that listens to this show, please go watch it whenever it's ready to be watched for the Liftoff Film Festival, because that might be the only way you're going to be able to watch it for a while. Because I think this thing's going to do like a 12-year festival run.
But yeah, that's pretty much all I have.
And I don't really have too much going on this week. Just kind of keep an eye out on my Twitter and Facebook. Look me up on Facebook, Jason Robbins, on Twitter at JFunktastic. And I got stuff going on, but I just can't think of it right at this second. So check that out if you want to follow me doing stuff.
Oh, real quick, do you want to give a tease for next week's show?
Yes, I do. Well, we still have to talk to the two other co-hosts that are going to maybe join us that night. I got to talk to them this week. But how much do you want to reveal for the show next week?
I will leave that entirely up to you.
It's going to be another debate episode. We're not going to do a review because Derek's got some work to do next week. So this is going to be a pre-recorded show. It's going to be a roundtable discussion about which is better. Should I go ahead and say it?
Yeah, go for it.
Which is better? Like the wrestling in the 80s or the Attitude Era in the 90s? Which is better?
It's going to be great.
It's going to be,
because I remember it was something that we brought up. I think I was reviewing a wrestling game, and you had mentioned, yeah, I didn't really care for the Attitude Era that much, and to me that was blasphemous.
Oh, speaking of wrestling, I actually picked up Tag Team Wrestling, which is by Data East. I picked it up just randomly at the flea market a few weeks ago, and I just played it for the first time the other day. Whoo, that game is terrible. Like, I thought WrestleMania was bad. Jesus, Tag Team Wrestling is a dumpster fire. Like, could they not make a wrestling game for the NES that was any good?
Clearly not.
I guess not. I have yet to play one. I take that back. The Black Box Wrestling is actually kind of fun, but it's still not that great. But man, some of these other wrestling games, like WrestleMania was terrible, but I think Tag Team Wrestling is even worse. Like, I had no idea what to do. I was just hitting buttons and like random shit was happening.
I'm glad they've gotten better throughout the years.
Oh, yeah. I still miss the PlayStation 2, what was it, Raw is War? Or was that the one?
Oh, the Raw versus SmackDown games.
Yes, those were great.
Yeah, those were a lot of fun.
I love playing those games. Well, let's go ahead and get out of here. We're running up on an hour, so
yeah,
we can talk more after we're done here. But, let me go ahead and play our music here. If you would like to email us, you can email us at nerdcaveretro@gmail.com, and we will read your email on the show. You can find us at nerdcaveretro.com. We're on Instagram and Twitter at nerdcaveretro, individually at jfunktastic and at Derek_Diamond. We're at Facebook at facebook.com/nerdcaveretro. We're on Patreon at patreon.com/nerdcaveretro. If you can't throw us $1 a month over there on Patreon, then leave us a review wherever you listen to the show. So, Derek, please tell them what it's all about.
Wow.
Master Blaster runs Bartertown.
That is a show, my friend.
That was really good.
That was fun.
Yeah.
So those of you watching on Twitch, thank you very much, and we will see you guys. Actually, we won't see you next week. We'll see you in 2 weeks because next week is a pre-recorded show. So we'll see you guys in 2 weeks. Goodbye.